the police departments and all the different agencies and elements involved in the fusion centers to report suspicious activity in a standardized format for the purpose of uploading this information into the information sharing environment so the information could be shared easily among the various fusion centers, but also with the intelligence community. So basically what this system is doing is creating basically deputizing every state and local law enforcement officer to be an intelligence collector for the intelligence community. This information is being directly, created in a way so it's accessible by these intelligence agencies. And, part of the problem is that it's unclear what the rules are. And, when you see something like the CIA participating on these panels and the military involved, it's unclear who's actually in charge, and that's really a large part of the problem that we're seeing as these things are moving forward, because the information is already being collected. Right after the DNI put out those standards, the Los Angeles Police Department issued an order compelling their officers to report criminal and non-criminal suspicious behavior that can be indicative of terrorism, and they listed 65 behaviors, and Aaron mentioned some of them, but one warning I'll put out there, because of the early part of the story, one of the precursor behaviors to terrorism that's identified in the order is taking video. And we put in our report a couple of instances where people taking video were stopped by police officers simply for taking pictures or video. And in some cases, particularly where they're taking photographs or video of police, it actually resulted in arrests. So, when you're out there with your video camera, a police officer reading this report may say that's a precursor to behavior to terrorism, and get involved in what you're doing.
And Aaron, Rosa, you've written about how even if someone's reported the suspicious activity and it's dismissed afterwards, that activity is still recorded in a database and remains there.
Yes, and that's probably one of the most disturbing aspects about this, is that officials with the Fusion Center here have confirmed that even if they receive a report of suspicious activity, if it merits investigation, they will forward it to the appropriate agency to investigate. The Fusion Center itself does not do investigations. However, even if even if activity does not merit an investigation, they make a log of that. And they hold that data for an indefinite period of time. They don't have any kind of sunset deadlines on destroying data after a period of time, even though the officials with the Fusion Center have also said that they don't really need the data after 2 months.
And I might add,
go ahead.
I might add to that the Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, and Major City Chiefs Association issued a report following the LAPD order adopting that procedure and recommending it for every other city. And there's a schematic in that shows how the suspicious activity report flows. There's a federal law that says a law enforcement intelligence database cannot contain personally identifiable information unless there's a reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. But the schematic clearly shows that even before that decision is made of whether there's reasonable suspicion and the police department itself can keep the information, they will have already reported it to the Joint Terrorism Task Force and to the Fusion Center. And that's sort of this shell game where the information goes, and that it can be placed sort of in this database separate from the police database so they can remain compliant with the law, but they know that they have routine access to the information at the Fusion Center. So it's sort of like just putting it in a different drawer and pretending that it's not theirs anymore.
Mike German, we just have a minute left. If I can just ask you one question about your response to recent revelations that the Maryland State Police have been spying on activists against the death penalty and anti-war activists.
Absolutely, and that's a perfect example where the Maryland State Police, sort of taking this encouragement from the federal government, expand beyond what normal police function is, beyond normal law enforcement function, and start becoming intelligence collectors against protest groups. And the reports that we obtained from them make clear that there was no indication of any sort of criminal activity, quite the opposite, that they were peaceful at all times. And yet that investigation went on for 14 months, and these reports were uploaded into a federal database. Now, the Department of Homeland Security and the Fusion Center are now claiming they never accessed that information, but it was sitting there in a database that was accessible to them at any time. So really it's a semantic difference whether they actually did, because they could have. And you know, the problem is when all these agencies are authorized to go out and start collecting this information and putting it in areas where it's accessible by the intelligence community, it's a very dangerous proposition for our democracy.
We'll have to leave it there. I want to thank you all for being with us. Eileen Clancy is the founder of Eyewitness Video, joining us here in New York. Aaron Rosa is a reporter for the Colorado Independent, and Mike German is the National Security Policy Counsel for the ACLU. That does it for today's program. If you'd like to get a copy of the show, you can go to our website at democracynow.org. I'm Anjali Kamath with Sharif Abdul Quddus. Amy Goodman will be back on Monday. It's been an honor to host the show. Thanks for joining us.